mainly because I was quite interested in the field of work that she's in. I have not seen a lot of people in Regina in this field of work. I've seen people in IT, and I've seen people in maybe logistics, or or random jobs that they're doing.
I'm basically a cost and management accountant from India.
Why did you relocate? Like, why Canada? Or, we've talked about when you relocated and what happened and all. But why did you relocate from India? I mean, what was the reason? So yeah, been 2 years in Saskatchewan, and I've also asked you why Saskatchewan, because obviously, there are a lot of people who think that Saskatchewan is a very remote, lonely place. No, it is not. We have two people. I'm sorry. How was it for him to actually, relocate and come here? I'm from a child's perspective. Do you think that he's happy here? And hello everyone, welcome to MALZ vlogs. Today I'm in conversation with one of my friend. She's also based in Saskatchewan. She's staying in Regina. So we have been planning this particular interview for a very long time, mainly because I was quite interested in the field of work that she's in. I have not seen a lot of people in Regina in this field of work. I've seen people in IT, and I've seen people in maybe logistics, or or random jobs that they're doing. But I was interested in this because I also have a lot of subscribers who ask me that what if I'm in finance, what if I have experience back in India, do you think it's really worth coming to Saskatchewan or Canada in specific? And I was like, okay, fine, let me find somebody who can actually give some insight about this rather than me blabbing something out. So I have Shantini with me. Shantini, welcome to Mars Vlogs. And
Hi.
hi. And I would like you to just give a very small intro, like maybe your name, where you come from, or like whatever you're comfortable with.
Sure. Hi everyone, this is Shantini. I'm basically a cost and management accountant from India. So you would call it ICWA. And I was working in finance and budgeting for like around a decade in India. And now I've moved to Canada, Saskatchewan.
Okay. Thank you, Shantini, for the intro. So now you would understand why I actually asked her to come into for the interview and explain the details. Mainly because I wanted people to understand scope of each field in Canada or specifically Saskatchewan. I'll be also having several other interviews, maybe with people in IT departments, or who's working for the government and things like that. I'm lining up few interviews. Let's see how that works. But starting with Shantini, so like she's going to be my lucky charm, I guess. Uh, yeah. So Shantini, when did you come to Canada or specifically Saskatchewan?
So we came to Canada in 2021 as a PR.
Okay.
I think it's yeah, it's almost 2 years now.
2 years
Yep.
now. Okay. And so was it like an SINP nomination, or was it just express entry?
So it was an express entry.
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't an SINP. It was an SINP or a student.
Okay. And what made
pathway.
you come to Saskatchewan? Like after having an express entry, like I know a lot of people who are here on PR, but they would have got a SINP nomination. That's one reason they would have come here, right? But why did you choose to come to Saskatchewan with an express entry?
Well, to be honest, we weren't even aware of Saskatchewan when we chose, Canada. But then my husband came first,
Oh, okay.
and then I joined him after a couple of months. And then he was pitching for jobs everywhere, like in Canada. And it was the peak of the second wave of COVID.
Oh, okay.
So he got a job here, and then we had to join him here.
Okay.
So that's how we landed here.
I have come now to actually introduce a very interesting service that I came across. So if you are in Canada, if you're planning to come to Canada, or even have a wildest thought that you might end up in Canada, then you should definitely explore this particular app called as PayPenny. So it's a money transfer app, and through this you get one of the best exchange rate even as compared to Google. So if you're going to Google and going to type Canadian to Indian rupee conversion, you might find a particular conversion rate, wherein PayPenny actually gives you a much better exchange rate as compared to Google. Secondly, they have no transfer fees, or they don't charge any kind of fees to actually transfer money, wherein I've seen many other apps having transfer fee. The third thing is that they have 24/7 customer support. So in case at any point of time you end up into any trouble, which you might not, but in case you do, they have 24/7 customer support. And the best part is that you can actually refer your friend and then also earn. So if at all you know any of your friends who are transferring money to India, ask them to use PayPenny and see how it is, and you can earn by referring them. So I would highly advise that you try out the service, and I will put a link of the app in the description so that you can download and start using the app. I will also try putting a referral code so that you can use my referral code and then avail the services. So I hope you enjoy PayPenny. Okay, so you were looking out for the job from India or from after landing in Canada?
No, no, no. So he came to Toronto,
Okay.
and then he started searching jobs
Mhm,
everywhere.
mhm.
So you name it, he has applied, like
Okay.
Yukon or anywhere.
Okay.
And then he got a job here, and
Okay.
then he chose to move here, and we joined him.
Okay.
So I came here and only searched job.
Okay.
Search
So
for a
you
job.
came here directly and he landed in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, been 2 years in Saskatchewan, and I've also asked you why Saskatchewan, because obviously there are a lot of people who think that Saskatchewan is a very remote, lonely place. No, it is not. We have two people. I'm sorry, I'm just joking. We have a lot of people here. It's not that it's too lonely or depressing here. It's not like Toronto or Vancouver, but obviously there's a lot of population who are getting attracted to come to Saskatchewan, who are already there. So moving on, you told you came on permanent residency. How long did it take? I know a lot of people who actually plan to come here on PR, or when that doesn't work, they actually try for the student stream. So how long did it take for you? And if you can just tell us about what was the process or things like that.
So I think it takes more than 1.5 years for the whole process to finish.
Mm-hmm.
First, we decided actually to go to some other countries which were offering PR.
Okay.
Then we decided to apply for Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was the primary applicant.
Okay.
And we didn't go through any of these consultants. We
Okay.
did it all by ourselves.
Okay.
And then we applied for it, I think in don't know, I think in 2018 end or
Okay, okay.
2019.
Yeah.
And then we got a call by 2019 end,
Mm-hmm.
I think like by October or something.
Okay.
And then we had to do the first landing, and then we
Okay.
so it was, I think, for anyone who's trying, it will take more than a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And before you start, it's better you plan your, if you meet your requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, when we applied, we were kind of aware of what would be the
Mm-hmm.
requirements,
Mm-hmm.
what would be our points,
Mm-hmm.
would we be fitting in the those point
Mm-hmm.
pool, the draw
Yeah.
pool which they are willing to
Yeah,
take
yeah.
people.
Mm-hmm.
And we also saw if our skill sets would match the requirements of the pool.
Yeah.
So more than the time frame, I would say it's better to first look into the requirements, see if you fit into those requirements, and see what are the preparations you need to do, like from the work experience front, from the IELTS front and everything. And then by 1.5 years, I only mean the application.
Yeah.
But the prep work, I think if you have to do, it's better to
much
start
before, right?
early.
So you told me that regarding that you were a primary applicant, right?
Yep.
Do you know what was the knock code, or do you know what was the particular the description of your profile, that they obviously you got nominated because of all those reasons, right? Do you know what it was?
I don't remember it.
Yeah, knock code. I'll put it here.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out and put it.
I don't remember it right
Yeah.
now. But we both, me and my husband are from finance and accounts background.
Okay.
So we were under those short skilled immigrant category.
Okay.
That time, like when we were applying in 2018.
Okay.
So we scrutinized, and then we kind of applied. Yeah.
Okay.
I would definitely give it to you once.
Yeah.
again.
And I'll put it down here. And so you told me you came with your, I mean, obviously your husband landed here first, then you joined him. And what about your family? Like you have a son, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So how was it for him to actually, relocate and come here? I'm from a child's perspective. Do you think that he's happy here? And I mean, this is out of the questions
No,
that I
no,
have,
that's okay.
but I just thought, I mean, we should also think about that, right?
True.
We understand that the parents make a decision and come here, but do you think the kids are also happy here after coming here, like the schooling part of it and all?
I would say the more younger, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Because for us, we have certain inhibitions on,
Mhm.
like, oh, how would we, face the corporate world, or
Mhm.
how are we going to sell our
Mhm.
skill sets, and,
Mhm.
like, how are we going to interact with people
Yeah.
and make friends, or like even to colleagues,
Mhm.
like would we fit in. But with kids, they are just like, they don't have any judgments, they're
Yeah.
just themselves.
Mhm.
So the sooner you come, like when your kids are young,
Yeah.
it's better,
It's
because
better.
they don't realize the difference much.
Yeah.
The only thing he found it to be a challenge is because, India mostly is like, it's a humid place,
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
for most part. Not like,
Yeah.
Canada, and especially Saskatchewan, which is like, minus 25 and minus 40.
Yeah.
And we came during the end of 2021, which was like the peak of
Yeah.
winter.
Winter.
So he, like, and we put him in the school within like first 15 days we
Mhm.
came. So he had, like, challenges in getting used to the outfit, and then, getting
Yeah.
prepared. And
Yeah.
like when we leave him in school, we had to like prepare him on the, like, what, like the mitts to wear, because he
Yeah.
was too young. He was, I think, 5.5 or close to 6 that
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a
So
challenge.
just, I mean, even for us, I guess, right? Like during winter, after the summer gets over, that winter, when once it starts, we have to mentally prepare ourselves to get up 15 to 20 minutes early and, dress up at least 15-20 minutes because
True.
there's so many layers of clothes that you need to wear. So yeah, I can understand. And this is one question that I always ask people whom I meet, especially subscribers or, whom I'm in conversation with on a regular basis. Why did you relocate? Like, why Canada? Or, we've talked about when you relocated and what happened and all. But why did you relocate from India? I mean, what was the reason?
I mean, if you have to be honest, I think it's mostly for the next generation, to give them better opportunities to explore, and like, understand what they want, rather than limited opportunities back home. That would be the,
Yeah.
main criteria.
Mm.
But from our perspective, we've always been like, exploring career opportunities globally. Like we've been in the Middle East, and like since my husband was in audit, he's traveled through the world. So we
Okay.
also wanted to try it.
Okay.
But if you ask me, the primary objective, I think it's for the
It's for
future.
their future,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Mm. And do you think you made the right decision?
Well, that's too soon. Within 2 years to decide. Probably, if you have asked me in the summer, I would have said maybe yes.
Yeah.
But if it's in the winter, I'm not going to say yes. Given Saskatchewan being my
Yeah.
location, so yes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not like, I think it's one of the nice questions you asked, because when people come here, I think it's very, very important for them to be mentally prepared on what they are going to face.
Set the expectation right.
Yes. Like if you are someone who's in IT, and if you are always been on projects abroad, and then you think like, oh, it's going to be like US, definitely no.
Yeah.
And if you are from a non-IT background, also you should be willing to go like a lot of levels lower than your, sometimes even odd jobs, right? Than like your previous
yeah.
job. So it's better to keep the expectations low, and also be prepared for it with some reserves,
Yeah.
and be willing to take up any opportunity
Yeah.
that comes
When she
your
meant
way.
reserves, she meant financial reserves. It's very important because I see a lot of people. I've been talking to my friends who studied with me in college here in SAS Poly, and several other families that I've been talking to. Most of them want to relocate back to India. Okay, so this migration is one thing, but reverse migration is another thing that's happening, and the percentage is so high now, especially in the last, I think, couple of years. Mainly because people see a lot of YouTube videos like mine and many Instagram, all these very, very, what is it, well put up scenario of Canada, or maybe they set a very high expectation for people who are actually planning to come here. But when they step foot that's when they understand that, what is actually the reality, right? You might need to take up odd jobs. You might need to, like what she told, step down from your career growth pattern, and take up any job that you get in that particular field. Or like financially, like you might not be prepared, because I can talk from my perspective, because it's not that I had like a huge reserve, where I kept it in the bank and I came here. So sometimes you get into situations where you're falling short of finance. You don't know how to handle it, because things back home also, you've like kind of wound up from there and come here, right? So be mentally prepared. It's very, very important that you set your expectations right. It's not these YouTube videos or reels that needs to set your expectation. It's your research. Find out which province you're going to, what field of study or work you want to do, and based on that, you proceed forward. So, talking about your field of study or work, what is your educational or professional background, Shantanu?
So, anyone who takes a commerce group in India, they would be given with three choices of professional course, which is recognized by the government of India, which would be chartered accountant, cost accountant, cost and management accountant, or a company secretary. So these three are the professional courses recognized by the government of India. There are people who go for MBAs, but that's different, like IIM or
Whatever she told went above my head, because when I was studying, I didn't even bother to look at that. And whoever falls in the other category ends up with an MBA. Okay, go ahead.
So basically, your options in the commerce group are kind of limited. So then I chose ICW, because for CA you cannot do a regular college. You have to do a distance college. I thought I needed a bachelor degree, because someday if you decide to study an MBA, if this doesn't work out, a regular college degree is always it's an advantage. So I chose ICWA, and gladly I cleared it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
So, and then I got placed at a very young age, I think by 21 or something, in Ford.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ford was a very good opportunity that time. I mean, it's still, but for a young person,
for a fresher to get into,
So it's a very it was a good break. And then I kind of worked there for around 5 to 7 years.
Oh, okay.
And then I moved to another company. I took some 2-year break, sabbatical.
Okay.
And then I worked for another company named Icon as a financial analyst in finance business partnering. So majorly my job involved like this budgeting, finance, and like this one, I think you can this comes under this window of any finance analyst job description, which you can find in this MNCs. So
that's your background. And then like when you decided to come here, obviously I'm guessing you have around 10 years plus experience in your field, right? So how was it like? I know a lot of people have difficulty in giving up their career, like in the sense starting from scratch or from a lower level. Like how was it for you?
So when I came in, I was asked. Basically, there wasn't anyone whom I could relate to. Like there were a lot of IT people, or there were a lot of nurses in my community at least. But I couldn't relate with much of finance people with whom I could at least hey, this is your level, but you have to go to this level. Even to discuss that, I didn't have like too many friends with whom I could. So if they were there, they were either already settled down here like a lot of years ago, or they had come as students. So I could not really relate with them. So I was in the market facing the hit directly. So I registered with RODS first, just for this newcomers support, basically to help you in this resume. Any NGO you name, like RODS or CFS or anything, I've registered there just for the support and resume building. It did help. So it did help so that the automatic software could pick your resume with those keywords. That did help. And they were having like these presentation courses or small seminars and workshops. And then I didn't have a clear idea on, like, I knew job hunting is difficult, and to get a job at your level is next to impossible. And I was willing to go down a couple of levels, but then getting an interview call was the biggest challenge.
Yeah, okay.
Like you had to do everything for you to like get an interview call, basically. Like, you know, make sure that the keywords of the job descriptions match. Your experience might be relevant to the job description,
Yeah.
but because of the way you phrase your resume, your resume might not get picked up. So I had to do all those things, and then I will study about the company to make sure that if I get an interview call, how would I go and present them and all those stuff. And then my first break, I think, was after 3 months.
Okay.
So
So were you getting like really worried or depressed about it? Like
yes, like more than depressed, I was kind of clueless. It was like, you know, first off, the weather wasn't so appealing. Secondly, I like my husband would go for work, and then my child would go to the school. And then the next thing I would do is like have a coffee near me, and then look for the opportunities, have an Excel on what are the opportunities I've applied for, what are those I need to apply for, should I like review the resume again. And then for each of the opportunity, I used to change the cover letter. Like, you know, I used to, because your resume, you can't change much, because your experience is what you have. And I would, you know, I'm not someone who would just add something for a resume, and that's not me. But for the cover letter, you have to, like, it's basically your elevator pitch, where you have to say why are you, you know, kind of fit for this job, or why, what makes the recruiter, like, you know, to consider your resume for the job. So I think that's where I would spend most of my time on. And like I would keep like from the morning and then until afternoon 2 o'clock, I would just be like, you know, into
doing
the
this.
and I would reach out, like, for most people it's not just this, like, you know, applications and everything. I would say reach out to the consultants in LinkedIn. And like, you know, see,
you mean job consultants?
Job consultants. So like, you know, and then I was fortunate to have like few consultants who really helped me out, and at least, like, you know, getting an interview. So they would say they would do a full analysis, and they would say where you are at the market. It might not be true always, because their perspective of your experience might also be different. But it's good to have an idea of what people think of your qualification here. What do marketers think, like, you know, where do marketers think you stand here? It's like, you know, it's just a check.
Basically you're just gauging where you are, right?
And then they got me a couple of interviews. So, and the first thing the recruiter did was to like have a meeting with me. She asked me to tell me on what I did back home and what are my areas of work. And then she said, I have a couple of opportunities. I'm going to refer you here. I do have a couple of opportunities. I don't think you are there yet. So it was good for me to understand. And one thing is that if you are like in a manager level or in a senior manager level, it's also good to look for an analyst level. You know, if you are a manager level, don't expect people to, like, you know, hire you right away. It's not going to happen.
So it's actually I mean, these points are so valid. Like see, I have always talked about my experience, how I got into a job, but I have actually not got into the job market like how she has done, mainly because I was looking for an SINP job, right? So my priority was, you know, whichever job comes through with an SINP support, I'm going to take it up. And if you ask me, thankfully, like as compared to a lot of others who got into random jobs, at least mine is related to my study, which is good. Okay, but there's so much of insight on what she says. Actually, even, you know, for me, I'm like, okay, maybe I should go there. After I get my PR, these are things that I would want to do. So like, okay, it's also very important, like how she told, you know, you should have keywords that matches the job description, or you should have a cover letter. Cover letters are so important, mainly like how she told, it's like a pitch to the employer, as of, you know, how you can actually contribute, or, you know, how you are a fit for the particular role. So all these things, if you are a person who is coming here, not in finance but in any field, I think you should take note of these points. I'm sure most of you know about it, but job hunt is not the same like how it is in India, I feel, right? It's very different. Even your resume is so crisp. They would prefer like a one pager. Like in India, we have like 3 to 4 pages with all your things listed. People don't have the time to actually go through all those things. It should be crisp. It should have a cover letter. So there are several things. Like I'll also try to get somebody who is an expert maybe in HR or recruiting, what they look for. I'll try to get, I'm not sure. So you were talking about these things. Like, what do you think are the chances of getting a job? Like, I mean, I understand you've taken a lot of effort, but how long should a person wait or be patient?
I think in Saskatchewan, if you're in finance, you can get an accountant job within 3 to 4 months. That is doable. Like not in finance, but an accountant job, because I started out as an accountant.
Okay.
And then I moved like I think 2 jobs before I landed this job. So yeah. So
did you take up odd jobs or you always went for the?
So one of my advantages was, for me, my husband had already been here.
Yeah.
So like I would say, even if you're taking odd jobs, make sure that you have time during the day to attend interviews. That would be like, you don't want to get into that spiral where you have to pay your bills for which you're going into an odd job, and then you can't go into a regular job because you can't quit this odd job.
Yeah.
Like, if you have to plan your finances. If you are completely out of finance, or you don't have reserve, you could stay in a basement first, or you could stay, like, you can come alone and stay in a single room in a basement, which is manageable with just an odd job. If you're going for odd jobs, take evening shifts or night shifts, so that during the morning 10 to 3 you have some time to attend interviews. Because odd jobs is good to pay, for you to pay bills, but if you think you have the qualification, it's better to pitch for at least, even if it's 3 levels down, 4 levels down, it's good to pitch in your compared to, like, when you're in finance. I'm saying it's good, you will get it.
So I know a lot of people get desperate after reaching here, especially students, because this is a different ball game altogether what she's talking about, because she came here on PR, her husband already landed with a job. So, like, she could take a little bit of time, but I know a lot of people who actually just come here as a student, or they came, I mean, their spouses also come. There's a lot of financial responsibility. But what I would suggest is, I understand that you have to take up survival jobs, but in the meantime, look out for survival jobs which might support your next job, or the job that you're looking at. Not necessarily you might land up with it, but maybe take up part-time jobs which might be relevant to your your career, what you're looking for. So always try to connect. And I know a lot of people who are landing here on PR, again, who are getting really desperate to land up with jobs. But I also know people like Shantini. I also know another couple, who decided they are not going to take up survival jobs. They had a reserve for like 6 months. And their target was, okay, if I don't get a job in 3 months, then I will take up a survival job. Until then, I'm going to wait. They both are in IT. I've already, scheduled an interview with them. So hopefully you'll see that in some, maybe in a couple of weeks. So I wanted them also to tell, like, why did they decide that like that? And, like, how do you plan such things, right? So, I mean, it's a good insight for me also, Shantini, because obviously, in my case, I had to like take up what came to me soon after my course, mainly because of the SINP support. But obviously, once I get PR, I think I'll give you a call.
Yeah.
And so you told me how was it to actually get your job and all those things. So you also told me that it was related to your previous field. So you changed from finance to accounting. So is it like really different? Like,
No.
For a person like me, I wouldn't.
It's not much different. But sorry, did I cut you short?
No. I'm just reading the questions. I'm prepared for the next one.
So it wasn't much of a difference, but I would say it's like the pay would be different, and the kind of work you do is slightly different. Like, this would be like an entry level job, and that would be like a middle management kind of job. But it's not like finance, and like in accounting there's more like detailing. In finance we would look at the bigger picture.
Okay. And I understand there's a lot of demand for people in accounting or finance in Canada. What do you say about Saskatchewan? Like, is there a scope if people come here?
Yes,
Okay.
actually, first off, like when Malini said about Saskatchewan, like, you have two people here. I actually wanted to add this point. Like, before I came to Saskatchewan, I was like, would there be any opportunities
Yeah,
here? Like,
yeah.
am I going to really end up having any
Hmm.
job? But that's not the,
Case,
like,
right? Yeah.
case. You do have opportunities, and like, it just like everything takes time.
Hmm.
Like, there is a small judgment call you have to
Hmm.
make. Am I going on the right way?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, am I taking the right steps?
Hmm.
Like, am I reaching out to people enough?
Hmm.
Should, like, before you give up, like,
Hmm.
basically, if you can't survive, people are deciding you have to go
Yeah,
back,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
they can't, the bills are high, and
Hmm.
you can't be doing this
Yeah,
forever.
yeah.
But before you do that, like, you have to just judge on, like, is this place having enough opportunities
Hmm.
and all. But as you said, Saskatchewan do have opportunities,
Okay.
especially for, like, if you're an accountant,
Hmm.
you do have a lot of opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've seen that a lot of people, especially people in India, majority of them might be in IT, okay, because I've seen that, even though like it's a balance, but I see a lot of people who were in IT actually migrating to other countries, right? So if you're wondering, okay, will I get an opportunity here? Yeah, I know a lot of people who are in IT, who are in Saskatchewan, working in different organizations, even government organizations. So don't think that there are no opportunities. It's just that it might take time for you to land up with an opportunity. And initially, like how she was telling, you might have to, step down from your current career ladder, and and you come to maybe an analyst role, or that kind of a thing. But then eventually you will find a job. So even in my husband's case, now he's taken up a job that will just make us, it's related to his field, but not that it's not a managerial level or
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things, right? But eventually we know that once we, and also I think for students it's a little difficult to land up with the right job, mainly because employers will also look at your, what is it, status in Canada, right? Because a student or a PGWP, that's postgraduate work permit people, we have a limited time, right? It's like 1 year or 2 years that you have your visa. So if you're applying for like government jobs or things like that, they would obviously prefer a person with permanent residency, because they are going to stay for longer, or the I think these are some things that employers might look, because we have seen the success rate of people who has permanent residency, who's getting a government job or opportunities in a better organization as compared to those with PGWP or work permits. So, Chandani, you've been working for around 2 years now. How is the work culture like as compared to India? What would you say about that?